So previous lesson we have looked at the applications of completing the square. We have looked at how to find the turning point, okay, of a quadratic equation or quadratic function. We know when the function is maximum or a minimum, okay, and we also have seen how to sketch a graph. So just a quick recap, okay? Turning point, another word for turning point is stationary point or vertex, okay? If you look here, determine the vertex, V-E-R-T-E-X. So to determine the turning point, stationary point or vertex, okay, first we need the completed square form. Okay, once we have the completed square form, well, then we just equate. So here, using the completed square form, y equals to ax plus h squared plus k. What you do is you equate the squared term equals to 0 and make x the subject, or simply just take the factor out, make it equals to 0. Okay, and that's your x coordinate of your turning point. The y coordinate of your turning point is simply the constant after the squared term. Okay, so for example, if you have y equals to 2x minus 3, oops, so for example, if you have y equals to that's 2x minus half squared plus 3. Okay, so the turning point here, how to find the turning point, basically first you need to find the x coordinate by taking out the factor. So what is the factor in the bracket? X minus half equals to 0. So x equals to half. Okay, and then what is the y coordinate? Well, the y coordinate is simply the constant here. So y coordinate is 3. So you have a turning point that says half 3. If you have something like this, 4 minus x plus 1 over 10 squared. Okay, same thing. You can rearrange this to become negative x plus 1 over 10, the whole thing squared, plus 4. So again, what is in your bracket? You have x plus 1 over 10. You equate that equals to 0 and you get x equals to minus 1 over 10. And what is your y coordinate? Well, your y coordinate is basically simply the constant here. So your y is equals to 4. So you have a turning point that says, oops, minus 1 over 10, 4. Okay, so that's how you find the turning point. And we also have looked at what is the maximum and minimum value of a quadratic equation. The maximum or minimum value, basically, it is the y coordinate. So if this question, what is the maximum, what is the minimum value for this equation? This part here. Okay, this one. What is the minimum value? Well, the minimum value is just the y coordinate. Okay, y coordinate of the turning point. So the minimum value is 3. Same thing, what is the maximum value for this equation here? The maximum value is 4. It is the y coordinate of the turning point. Why? Because we have seen that. So my a here is 2. So my a here is greater than 0. It's a happy face. So if the curve looks like this, that turning point half 3 is on the curve here. Okay? Why do they ask and say what is the minimum value? Well, because it is here at the bottom here. Okay, same thing for this. So if you look at this, if the turning point is here, we know that all the y values of the graph are all bigger than this point. That's why it is the minimum value. Okay, same goes for this function. My a here is -1, so a is less than 0, so it's a sad face. Sad face, and here you go, that's the turning point. If this is the turning point here, you can see all the values on the curve here. The y values are smaller than the y values at the top here. That is why you call that the maximum value. So the maximum value here is 4. Okay? Well, we will be looking at some questions here. So we will be recalling all this again. So don't worry about it. So we're going to apply what we know from previous lesson. Okay? Determine the turning point, maximum, minimum value, and also graph sketching. We're going to see that, and to solve that, to solve these questions at the same time. Okay, now the question here says given y equals to x squared plus 6x minus 5 by writing it in a form of y equals to in bracket x plus a squared plus b. Do you remember what form this is? We have seen this before, a squared term, and there's a constant here. I hope you're saying completing the square, okay? Because it is the completing square form, where a and b are integers. Okay, they're just telling you that this a and b here, those will be numbers later. Write down the coordinates of the turning point of the curve, hence sketch the curve. Okay, so we should be able to do that quickly. So y equals to x squared plus 6x minus 5. They want you to write it in this form, x plus a squared plus b. Okay, so first things first, you know that we need the a, b, and c values. Okay, so quickly we complete the square. Okay, you all should master this by now. Minus 5. Okay, so evaluating this here, we get, x plus 3 squared minus 3 squared will be 9. So therefore we get x plus 3 squared minus 14. Okay, so straight away I can find what the turning point is. Turning point is, well, you can do a side working for that if you want. X plus 3 equals to 0, x equals to minus 3. So that would be minus 3, and my y coordinate will be negative 14. Alright, and then we need to find, so we've got the coordinates of the turning point, hence meaning if they say hence, using your answer from the previous part, sketch the curve. Well, when we sketch the curve, first things first, we need to know what is the shape of the curve. So if you look at my a is greater than 0. Yeah, my a is 1 here. So what is the shape of the curve? Is it a happy face or a sad face? When it's greater than 0, you are happy. Okay? So if it is a happy face, you know that this is the minimum point, minimum turning point. Yeah, it is not asked, but I just want to mention that if it's a happy face, you know that it is a minimum turning point. So we know the shape of the graph. We know the turning point is -3 -14. Okay, these are the information we need to sketch a curve, and we need to know the y-intercept. Y-intercept is basically when x equals to 0. So what is y value when x equals to 0? Well, if you substitute this x equals to 0 into the equation, so you had y equals to x squared plus 6x minus 5. When x equals to 0, so x 0 squared is 0, plus 6 times 0 is 0, minus 5. So your y is minus 5. So we have a y-intercept that says 0 minus 5. So you have these three information. It's a happy face, your turning point, and your y-intercept. Okay, so if I draw or sketch the graph, actually, I'm sorry, not draw, sketch. So that's -14. Okay, so we'll start here. So that's my x-axis, that's my y-axis. Okay, sketching means it doesn't need to be to scale. So let's just take there to be my -3 and there to be my -14, and 0, -5 will be where it crossed my y-axis. So I have 2 points. Okay, and I know it's a happy face, so roughly, okay, I'm just going to adjust that turning point is there. Okay, all right, so there you go. We have sketched the graph, and we also have the turning point, and we have the completed square form here. Yeah, I hope you can follow that. This is basically exam type of questions, okay, where they ask everything in one question. Okay, let's have a look at the second example. Okay, so second example here says, given that the minimum turning point of a quadratic curve is 1 minus 6, find an equation of the curve in a form of y equals to x squared plus ax plus b, hence sketch the curve. Okay, so it's telling you that the minimum turning point. So we have this minimum turning point means it's a happy face. Happy face. Okay, because why? Here, the turning point below here, the y value is the lowest or the smallest as compared to all the y values, because it is all this y value increase, it goes up. So you know that minimum turning point, this already tells you, it's a clue that it is a happy face. Okay, happy face. Then it says that this turning point here is 1 minus 6. Find an equation of the curve in the form of x squared plus ax plus b. Okay, well, we have to think in reverse. How do we obtain turning points? How do we obtain or get the turning point? How do we get the turning point earlier? It was from a completed square form. So now we do it in reverse. So if my x value is 1, okay, so completed square form, can you see that they want it to be in this form? So meaning my a is 1, yeah, my coefficient a is 1. Okay, so fill that in. If my x value here is 1, what will be the number here? So that will be x. It will be x minus or plus something. Hang on. That will be equals to 1. Yeah. X. Oh, sorry. 0. So x minus or plus something will be equal to 1. Well, for x to be equal to 1, yeah, x equals to 1. Okay, let's just scrape that out. If x equals to 1 and you want to make the other side 0, you bring this to the other side. So it gives you x minus 1. Okay, we're doing it in reverse. So now you should know that the factor inside is x minus 1. When you equate it equals to 0, that's when you get x equals to 1. And the y coordinate, well, we'll just copy that down. Minus 6. Okay? But we're not done yet because they want it to be in the general form. So, what we do is we expand this. Y equals to x minus 1 squared minus 6. X minus 1 squared basically means 2 factors of x minus 1. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 6. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 5. Okay? So that is the equation in the form that they wanted. Hence, sketch the curve. So same thing. We need the 3 information. The first one is we need to know the shape. But we already know because it says minimum turning point, we know it's a happy face. 2, we need the turning point. We already know the turning point. It is given 1 minus 6. And the third one is that we need to know the y-intercept. How to find y-intercept is basically when x equals to 0. So simply if you just put x equals to 0 into this equation that you found just now, what is your y? So 0 squared is 0, 2 times 0 is 0. So you know that your y-intercept is 0 minus 5. Okay, so if we sketch that, okay, I'm going to do it this side, yeah? So we have this, we know 1 minus 6 and I need 0, negative 5. So let's say that's 1. Okay, 1. So that's there. That's the turning point. And 0 minus 5. Okay, and we know it's a sad face. So it will cross like that. Okay, make sure it's smooth, guys. Okay, so that's the curve. If I do it one more time. Okay, let's do it as smooth as possible. Okay, there you go. Like that. Alright? So here the question is asking you, given a turning point, find the equation of the equation of the curve. Alright, and we have to think in reverse. How do we obtain a turning point? It's basically from a completed squared form, or completing the square. Okay, so we have the general form of a completed square and just put those values in. Okay, but bear in mind that my x value is 1. So my factor should say x minus 1. Okay, sketch the curve. You always need these three information: the shape, turning point, and the y-intercept is basically when x equals to 0. Okay, that's example 2. The last example here. Find the maximum value of minus x squared plus 4x minus 7. So again, what is the maximum value of a quadratic function? It is the y-coordinate of the turning point. So here, maximum value means y-coordinate of turning point. Well, how to find the turning point? You need to complete the square. So let's complete the square quickly. Minus x squared plus 4x minus 7. Your a is negative 1. Negative 1. B is 4 and c is negative 7. Okay, so we have x plus b over 2a, the whole thing squared, minus b over 2a, the whole thing squared, plus c, in this case minus 7. So here, x minus 2 squared minus 2 squared is 4. So you get this. Plus 4 minus 7. So that is minus 3. So that's your completed squared form. Negative in bracket x minus 2 squared minus 3. So from there, we know we can find all the three information to sketch the curve. So 1, my a value is equals to minus 1. It is a is less than 0. So if it's a less than 0, the shape of the curve is sad face. Okay, sad face means it's a maximum turning point because the turning point is up there. Hence, it says the maximum value. Okay, oh, sorry, we have not answered the maximum value. So therefore, maximum value is, what's the y-coordinate of the turning point? What's the turning point in this case? If I can write it down here, turning point is x minus 2 equals to 0. So x equals to 2. And then your y-coordinate is minus 3. So what's the maximum value? Maximum value is negative 3. That's your answer. Alright, next is to sketch the curve. So the first information we need was to know the shape of the curve. So it's a sad face. 2, we know that the turning point was 2 minus 3. And the last one we need to know is the y-intercept. X equals to 0. So when you have this equation, minus x squared plus 4x minus 7, when x equals to 0, so you get 0 plus 0 minus 7, so your y is minus 7. So you have one coordinate that says 0 minus 7. Sketch the curve. Well, I will find a space. Let's say, I can't write there. Okay, let's just squeeze that in there. Okay, guys. So if I just squeeze that there, so 0 minus 7, that's my y-intercept. That's minus 7. And then my turning point is 2 negative 3. It's there. And it's a sad face. Okay, so if I just adjust that a little. minus 7. Okay, so that's my y-intercept and that's my turning point, and I know it's a sad face, so there you go. All right, has to be on it. If I can draw that smoothly. Oops, sorry guys, it's not easy to do it on a tablet, but I'll try my best. Okay, okay, that looks symmetrical. There you go. All right, so okay, in today's example we have covered many things. We have covered how to find the maximum value, and we also have sketched the curve. We also have looked at, given a turning point, how to get the equation and sketch the curve. And the other one was, the first example was, they ask you to complete the square, find the turning point, and then sketch the curve. So we have covered everything. All right, I hope you can follow that. Basically it's the same thing what we did yesterday, okay, but now with more details in the question. All right, okay guys, thank you very much.